Yeah, I don't know how much I'm here, but
But
I'm
you're not
here.
there.
I'm here because
You're
I'm
not
not
here.
all
I
there.
don't think you're here.
Hey, Gabriella, you know that song that you play that I like so much? Would you feel like playing that?
It's a chant, a Baba's name, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Let me think a second, because there's a few. I'll get
If
the
it,
right one, and then I'll be glad to if I can remember it. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, no. Give me a second. I'm gonna go in the other room and think. I'll be back.
okay, yeah, okay.
Put your thinking cap on and think about what you've done wrong.
Yes.
Come back. Come
We're
back.
just teasing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Angela, what did you do earlier today? Were there any programs earlier today that I
Yeah,
mean
you
like
missed the Jim Meyer.
oh, a Jim Meyer. Oh, I
He
missed
was
it.
referring to you and making fun of
Yes.
you and
You
tearing you
look.
to shreds.
Shoot.
You were not there to defend yourself, so
Yeah,
he just
you know that's
took advantage.
that's called the protection of Meher Baba. You're just not there.
You turn your back and, your
Yeah.
friends, your best friends.
God, yeah, I had people buy and everything. Yeah. Hey,
Oh,
there's
that's nice.
Mahmood. Jay Baba. Yeah, I'm trying to think of any. So they were just doing. She just sang a song about Mansari,
Yes.
right?
And then
Mansari
she
was a sweetheart.
sang. Oh, how sweet.
She lived up on the hill, and she was about, I don't know, 4'9" or something. The kids liked to stand next to her because little kids, because they would be as tall or taller than her. And I mean, I've told this before to some of you, but just to give you an idea how informal it used to be around the tomb before, it's more formalized now. But back then, Mansari, this is back in probably 71 or 2, Mansari heard that this buddy of mine and I could do gymnastics. We had done gymnastics, so we used to be able to walk on our hands all over a house and even up steps and everything. We were very coordinated. That means with our hands on the floor and our feet in the air. And so Mansari heard that we could do this. And she got this idea one day that she wanted us to go in the tomb and take darshan on our hands. And so this is not something, I mean, I never occurred to me to do such a thing. So Mansari is outside there making sure no Easterners come up the hill, witness this. We got up on our hands under the portico and everything. My buddy, he steps over the threshold and, maintaining balance. He goes right before the marble and lowers his head all the way to the floor and then up again, maintaining his balance. He goes over in the corner and I went in on my hands up over the threshold in, bowed before Baba, and we came out. And Mansari she was totally excited, just to see this happening, and but at the same time making sure nobody witnessed this because this wouldn't be in line with some of the conventional forms of darshan taking. But when I think about it years later, it might have been the first time in the history of humanity that two people have taken darshan at the tomb of the avatar on their hands. But it was very informal back then, and of course, more traditional things had to come into play. But back in those days, you kind of came before Baba as you were. It was delightful. Okay, Gabriella.
Jay Baba said,
Yeah.
Jeff, did I ever tell you how this song came to be?
No, you may have, but I'd like to hear it. Yeah.
All right. Well, do we remember Michael Matthias?
Yeah.
The poet? Yeah. So before I really came to Baba, a friend of mine had told me he had a friend in New Jersey and I should come visit him, which I did. I went to visit Michael, and his mother had just passed on. And I really, I knew a little about Baba, very little anyways, but I knew he was with Baba. And I was trying to comfort him. And so I just took the guitar and this whole song came out for, inspired to comfort Michael. But of course it was Baba. The whole thing was Baba.
Yeah.
So I thought you might want to know that he's a good friend.
This is a lovely song.
So it's sort of us speaking to Baba and then Baba speaking to us, kind of back and forth like that. Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba. Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba. I am always with you, I am always by you, I am always with you, I am always by you, I am always with you, always by you, dear one of mine. Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba. I will never forget you, I will never forsake you, I'll never forget you, I'll never forsake you, I will never forget you, never forsake you, dear one of mine. Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba. Thank you for my friends. Thank you for this moment. Thank you for my family. Thank you for this earth. Thank you for all the love you pour upon us, dear one of mine. Thank you for my mother. Thank you for my father and my sister and my brother. Thank you for all those who love all over the world. Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba. Thank you for the earth and thank you for the sky. Thank you for the fire. Thank you for the air. Thank you for all of the elements, dear one of mine. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your always being my friend in every situation. Oh, Baba, thank you for your comfort, dear one of mine. Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba. Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba. Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, dear one of mine.
That's so lovely. That'll go on inside of you for a few days if you're not careful.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for asking for that.
Yeah. Well, I might need some help here. I don't know. You know what I might be interested is Mahmoud. Would you mind telling us how you heard of Baba? But you probably have to unmute yourself, or you don't have to necessarily do it. It's only if you're.
She might not be there.
Jai Baba Chief. Jai Baba
Jai
Chief.
Baba, Nasreen. Yeah.
I am visible tonight.
Aha. Well, I just asked your husband
Yes.
how you all came to Bob. This is a whole network of people, their whole family and everything.
Yes.
I don't know. I was born in a very religious family. My sort of Orthodox, as far as my mother is concerned. My maternal grandfather was Mullah.
Mm.
Yeah.
In like today, you know, going in for prayers and talking to people going to him for advice, so forth, so on. During my childhood, early childhood, I was following our religious thing that I have to do to follow, such as fasting, such as praying on time, and so forth, so on. And my late oldest brother, who was a teacher and a very bright person, and knowing what was going on in town and what was going on in regard to quote unquote religion in our town. And he used to tell us, look at the hypocrisy, what they say and what they do. And gradually I became more interested and away from religious tradition. I was about 12 years old around that time that I stopped fasting or praying or following the religious tradition. And but always in my mind, I did have some concept. At that time, I didn't know what that concept means, that there is a God. Until I came to the United States, a state for good for the second time in 1979, during the time of revolution in Iran. It was about 10 or 15 years later, my late old brother came to America to visit me and visit his own children who were at that time living in the United States. And at that time, as soon as he came to this house that I'm talking about now, right now, and after 10 minutes, how are you doing, and hugging everything, he started talking about Meher Baba. And I didn't know anything about Meher Baba, as well as my wife, Nasreen. And then when I started talking, Meher Baba is God, and Nasreen became almost infuriated. Oh my goodness, what he's talking about. So anyway, there was, but I was listening. So we stayed for late hours and talking to me and himself, and told me that we have to go to center tomorrow and get Baba's book. So I was just listening without giving any answer or showing any objection to what he was telling me. So the next day we went to Santa Monica Boulevard. We got the What Book God Speaks. So we came home, and then I started reading. The more I started reading, I didn't know anything, and put the with the pencil question mark. But I started keep reading, and gradually I became so interested. The part of the God that speaks that I became so interested and forced me to go on, it was when the Baba is talking about evolutionary process and involutionary process. And considering my field of practice, psychiatry, so I became more interested to see, when these people coming and talking about the dilemma, what is going on, what is happening. Anyway, so still nobody in my family was knowing about Meher Baba. But I kept going to center, buying any book that came, I started buying and reading until Aloba came. I think Aloba came in 1988 or 89, I don't know either. When he came, it looked like it was a coup d'etat in Iranian community. Because when he came, he stayed in our house and used to go every day to center, keep talking about Meher Baba. So many Iranian, including Nasreen, and later on, my all children came to Baba's orbit. And ever since, we have been following Meher Baba to the present time.
How did your brother hear about Baba in Iran?
My brother was English teacher. He was in Shiraz, where Mehrabanpur, a son of Baba's night watchman. I think it was, no. Unfortunately, I don't remember.
Not Rausab?
He was one of the old. Yeah.
Was it Rausab? Asfari?
No. Rausab, Sheikh Asfari, no. It was at that age that he came to Baba. Anyway, after so many years, Baba told him, now it is time you have to go back to your own village and start working. So Mehrabanpur is a physician who was practicing in Shiraz, and through his father, he learned about Meher Baba. As a matter of fact, to begin with, he was against Meher Baba. And one time he decided to go to Mehrabad and confront Meher Baba. And it is very, I don't know whether it is time to talk about it or not. It's very interesting story. But at any rate, my brother learned about Meher Baba through Dr. Mehrabanpur, who was through Baba Raven. So it is why we became learn about Meher Baba.
Well, tell us though, when he went to Mehrabad to confront Baba, what happened there? What year was that?
Yeah, he was, I don't remember. I don't know what year was it. He did have a list of things that confront question Baba to prove it that he is not the right one. He's a crook. When he reached to Baba, his mind became blank. He could not ask any question, and did have a darshan, and when
Whoop. I think we lost them. Nasreen.
Seems to be they disconnected.
Anyway, wow. They're, like I say, they have their children. Hey, oh, there's Alan.
It became blank, like the screen became blank,
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't see them at all. They have
but it was
dropped.
like in the story.
Yeah, I think he went
Mine
through
became blank.
evolution and involution, and then he
Oh, yeah.
stepped out of the game. Anybody have anything that has come up or anything to share?
Well, can I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead, Diane.
You know, we're part of the LA Center, and we've known Nasreen and the doctors, what we call them. But for years we've known them, but it's such a social kind of like, you don't get a chance to have the kind of intimacy that we're having on these sessions. For him to tell that story, I never knew it. And
Yeah, I'm sorry, we're disconnected.
Yeah.
There you are.
Yeah,
Good.
he used to go to different parts of Iran and talking about Meher Baba. Also, he did have that talent to talking to soul. And Baba told him, you should not do that. It is not good. But he continued. One time he was invited at the university of one of the big cities in Iran to talk in front of all intellectual and faculty members to talk about how he is able to bring the soul and talk to soul. When he started talking about this subject, his mind became blank and he became so upset and angry and left the scene and apologized because he didn't follow Baba's instruction.
And might have saved his life because the Baba people were persecuted to some extent after Khomeini came in, right? Oh.
Okay.
So, so Nasreen, what at the beginning you didn't quite believe in this stuff. What happened to you?
No, I said no, not me. I said not me. Whoever wants to be a Baba lover, fine, but not me. These are all. How is it possible that a person become God? How is it possible? God is. You don't see Baba. God. Baba is. God is not in the body. He's everything, but he's not in the body. But how come a person can be God? I always had that question. I didn't want to accept whatever, his brother was talking about. But then after sometimes, when Aloba came here, when Aloba was here, then we impressed, the way he was talking, and he was putting Baba's picture right above where I am sitting. And since then, it's not moved. We never moved it anywhere.
No, itself is a story. I'll tell you later on.
Yeah, when he walked in, then he said, "You don't have Baba's picture in this house? What kind of people you are? Come on. Bring a hammer for me."
No, certainly not. There would be a picture of Baba tomorrow when I'm coming.
Yeah, listen, let me talk, please. So he came and he said, "Go bring a hammer and a nail." And then he got the nail and he put it on the wall right above me. And he said, "Go bring one of Baba's picture and have it framed and put it right in here and don't move it ever. So that's what we did, and that's what we listened to him. We listened to him. So gradually, you know how Baba works, you know. He's giving his love gradually.
You know, earlier we were having a, people were having a little trouble with the infinite God, the formless God, and then
Right.
God in human form.
Uh-huh,
And, you know, that confusion, or how can you have both? And so I went into the lagoon cabin while this kind of discussion was going on in the Effort and Grace. This was months ago. And I went into the lagoon cabin. That's the, you know, at the center. And I was just standing there in front of Baba's chair. And then he flashed this to me, a metaphor. He said, you know, Baba said that the infinite God is the puppeteer, and the avatar, each avatar is a hand puppet. Now, you can't say that the hand puppet is inferior to the puppeteer, because the hand puppet and the puppeteer are one and the same. In other words, the same one who's doing the hand puppet is the same one who's the puppeteer. You can't say that the hand puppet is inferior to the puppeteer, because they're really one and the same. Does that make sense? There's
yes.
only one being.
Yes.
You know, it's so we see Baba, but that puppeteer has all the access to infinite knowledge, power, bliss, and infinite consciousness, because it really is just, you know, God taking a form. So there's no, one is not greater than the other, because they're exactly the same being, you know.
That's right.
But you know what's interesting is, as I see it, almost every other Advent, Baba or the Avatar emphasizes something different. As Baba, he emphasizes God in human form. As Muhammad, he is emphasizing the formless God, Allah. As Jesus, he's emphasizing God in form. As the Buddha, is the formless God. And then as Krishna, is God in human form. In other words, because each time we overdo it. In other words, we'll make too much of Baba's form. And so next time he'll come, he'll probably emphasize the formless aspect of God. But then that gets too dry and intellectual and everything. So then he comes in form. So, and emphasizes, so it all depends on where humanity is. So so this time, thank goodness, we have God in human form.
Yeah, we're so lucky.
And he's emphasizing, focusing on him.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. One time we were in Mandalay Hall, and Erich asked, what does it mean to hold on to Baba's Daman? And we all gave answers and everything, went on for about 45 minutes. And then Erich said, holding on to his Daman is holding on to his form. Focus on his form and personality. I mean, that's a doorway to the infinite. You know, it's not like focusing on David Defoe's form over there or Alan Manoukian. You won't get anywhere. But you'll shrink down to a toad. No, but focusing on Baba, you expand, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you focus on anybody with love, you expand. But when you focus on Baba's personality and form, you get larger and larger. You become more and more aware of your soul. So that was a lovely thing.
We can focus on Alan. He looks
Yeah.
like Baba.
Yeah, actually.
Hey, I
You know,
wanted to say hello to Nasser. It's the first time I've seen you on video all these nights. So
I know.
I'll say salam hale shama chetori.
حال شما چطوره؟
Yeah,
خوبم.
he's good.
Yeah.
خوبم. You
Yeah.
should say خوبم.
Kobam.
آفرین.
Afarim.
آفرین. آفرین. Very good.
Usually I'm a silent partner sitting next to my wife.
Yeah.
And so
What is your name again?
Mahmoud.
Mahmoud. Nice to meet you, Mahmoud.
Nice to meet
Yeah.
you.
See, he accidentally got in the camera, and so we grabbed him. You know, he. But that
You
was wonderful, really. I mean, I know all your kids and
Yes.
your grandkids and all that, but I'd never
Yes.
actually heard. I mean, I've seen you at the center, but I've never heard your story. Yeah.
Yes. Have you seen us at the center?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes, of course. We remember you very well. You
Yeah.
cook so nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Alan, you got anything that?
Yeah, well, tonight I was just thinking about how Darwin talks about we have to learn to maneuver the mind so that we have more control, not willful repression, but a redirection of our energy so that we experience more inner freedom. So my question really is like, what what is what is the difference between willful repression and redirection of energy? Because I think something's happening with that inside of me. I'm trying to understand more.
Yeah, I mean, where one creates a kind of repression, and the other you gain a little bit of control, natural control. I always feel that the more love you can put in to your attachments, the freer you will get of them. And the more you remember Baba in your attachment, the more love you put into into that, like I say, you have a child and you're really too attached to your child, and you're controlling them. Well, you have this relationship. The more love you put into this relationship with the child, the more the controlling the child and dominating them, the less that attachment is there. In other words, willpower is not it's got to be willpower plus love, is my feeling. You can give up something. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to do it. But it's got to be some love in it that really is what, and Baba's love, that does the freeing up.
Yeah, so it's not like blind control is what you're saying.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're just sitting there fighting with your willpower, what often happens is that you succeed in stopping it for a while, but then it comes back with great force. So it takes a great deal of love and self-compassion, because getting free of some of these attachments is a slow process. It can be. Sometimes Baba can intervene. I mean, I've known people that were heavily into drugs, and they got into Baba and they dropped it cold turkey and never looked back. But others, they had Baba and then a little bit of drugs, and Baba and a little bit of drugs, and eventually Baba got the upper hand.
Yeah, I mean, this is I'm curious about it in terms of like with addictions and all the intense coarser desires that are very challenging to work with. And I think that the whole thing of like redirecting, like sometimes even in redirection, it's like you can be in such a wave of these things that you could even try to think of Baba but it's almost like you're just a lost sailor. Like you've given up all of your, you've sold everything to the merchants. You've lost again. Like you just can't even, you can't win this battle. Like you just see it again and again that you lose. But then I do, like I said earlier in the Effort and Grace meeting, I love how Mani was saying it's always a moving forward. It's always going forward. It's never going backward. That's for me very helpful.
Yeah, and if you do lose control, keep Baba in it, Keep Baba in your weaknesses. Don't have your weaknesses and then say, "Oh, I better not think about Baba." I'm disobeying him. I better not think of Baba. I'll just disobey independent Baba. Go with, if you're going to disobey, do it with him. Share it with him. Really.
Yeah. So it's not like a religious thing where you're like, I shouldn't be doing this. And then, I did it again. And then you pray and you repent. And then you're like, okay, I won't do it again, Bob, I promise. And then you fail again. And then it's not like that kind of battle, I think, doesn't need to be so, like you said, like trying to control it from being there, because it in fact just has to live its way out from a thought. It first starts with a thought, then a feeling, and then it goes into that action place.
Yeah.
And that's what
But
creates
just take Baba into take Baba into the action,
Right.
Even as you light up another cigarette, Baba wants to be there within your addictions,
right,
in your weaknesses. It's he's that kind of guy. That's my feeling, So David DeFau, what do you think?
What am I thinking? I don't know. I've actually been feeling lately just a little bit, almost shaky a little bit. I just feel like, I don't know, maybe I feel like I'm tuning into some suffering in the world or something. It's just has sort of come and I feel it. And I don't know.
Yeah, no, what you're saying, a lot of the Baba people are experiencing. They don't feel it's their own suffering. They're doing fine, but there's certain things that are coming in on their radar that's disturbing. And feeling what other people in this world are experiencing. I know one time Danny Ladinsky was reading the newspaper to Erich, and he read about this ship that had gone down in the ocean at some long distance. And Danny said, Erich, are we supposed to feel that? And Erich said, of course. I mean, if we don't feel it, I mean, our empathy doesn't extend out that far. Yeah. But that's getting into a more subtler realm, you might say. But it was understandable if people feel anxious or pulled down or weighed down in this world today, because it's in the air we breathe.
Yeah, I just feel like maybe there's a lot of hunger.
Uh-oh, we lost you, David. David, I think we lost you.
David, we were not able to hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I was just saying that I think there's just a lot of people hungry and a lot of people worried about the virus or even dying from the virus. And I don't know, it just feels like, the world feels a little shaky to me, at least inside myself.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, that is very understandable. As long as you can kind of know what's yours personally and what is from the collective. I think it's a privilege to feel the collective. and what the collective is going on in the collective. As long as you don't, get it mixed up with thinking that it's you. But you still you're not protected. There, Baba said, I mean, Baba stated it kind of in a, not in, I mean, of course, he says all the suffering is on him, but he said, my body is like fine gossamer through which the winds of the world freely blow. My body is like fine gossamer, very fine, what can I say? Gossamer is like fine thread through which the winds freely blow. And as Baba inhabits us more and more, we are going to experience that. Our body is going to start to get paper thin and vulnerable to the cold winds of the world, so to speak. So it's I don't know. That's just my sense of things.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything in my life that, I'm doing well, my family's doing well.
Yeah.
But I feel all shaky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else have that malady? That noble malady? Oh, is Roxy, is she around somewhere? Huh. It says on my thing, Roxy raised hand. Hey, Prakash, whereabouts are you? There, Prakash is here on the table top. Prakash, where are you? Whoop.
Jai Baba.
Hey, are you in
Jai
India or
Baba.
are you in New Jersey?
No, I'm in India still. I'll be here till the middle of March.
Oh.
Yeah, Sandeep finally got married.
Yeah.
In this pandemic. But yeah, I was listening to, I think, I forget the name of the gentleman. He was talking about the, you talked about the malady and then the suffering that everybody feels. And of late, I just keep going around this Manunash cave here, where Baba did the annihilation of mind work. And I tell you, so many dogs here. My empathy has turned towards these little beings that go around and then scrambling for food. And with so much going on around, people are unable to take care of them. And so I just try my little thing that I can do often to see if I can feed them occasionally. But that's been actually bothering me quite a bit. And I keep going around, look for these little guys that, go around and they go into the dustbins and, scrambling for food and this and that. And that definitely bothered me quite a bit here. Yeah. All around the place. I mean, you know India, right? I mean, dogs keep going around freely. And and they seem thinner and thinner as day goes by, and then they really seem to need some effort. I mean, some help. So from anybody who can give. So that's something that recently has been quite a bit on my mind. Yeah. And among all the festivities that we had because of the wedding and everything. But so that's been happening here.
Yeah. No, we're in this country, we're one of the wealthiest countries in the world, and of course you see all the pictures of people lined up at the food banks,
Right. Yeah, I know. I've seen that on the TV. It really bothers me that people who seem to be well-to-do before at least have, can just spend their lives on their own and everything without any, a need for such scrambling for food and all. I mean, lines and lines of people in cars in Texas and all over the place lining up. That really definitely is something that we all feel, obviously. And hopefully the administration can help a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, well, nice to hear from you, Prakash. And
yeah, and nice to be, I miss all these beautiful talks that you guys have. But there is this hope that I can catch up because it's all on the YouTube. So I'll go from there. Thank you. Jai Baba, everybody.
Yeah, Jai Baba, Prakash. Yeah.
Jai Baba.
Open otherwise
Jeff, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, this is Roxy.
Okay, good.
I didn't know why you guys couldn't hear me before. I was just going to say I do relate to David as well. And I have this urge to just go deliver food to people for some reason. And I try to do it. And this whole feeling of like we didn't have a Christmas really. We just didn't feel like it, like celebrating and exchanging gifts. So I think you're right. It is something that's going on in everyone who is somehow connected to any source. So just wanted to share that.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, we are very fortunate in that we have some place within to go. But so many people are desperate and they have no place to go within. And we can go to Baba, but if they don't have any divine place within themselves that they're in touch with, they're just kind of left, kind of aimless in the midst of their privations,
And I hear people say how lucky I am to have something to hang on to during these times.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can too, but I guess.
Yeah. They have to find it though. They have to find that link to to something permanent and real. Yeah. Anyone, Priya, you have anything to say from Goa?
Good morning, Baba.
Yeah.
Give me some time, Jeff. I'm still waking up. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Have your coffee and.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was reading some of that book. What is it? I keep forgetting the title. As Only Love Can Give, or
As Only God Can Love.
As only God can love. And I always find it very sweet when you're reading about people who love Baba so much, and they're describing him in these stories, because then they really come alive in the moment when you're reading it, and it's almost like animated in front of one's mind, where you can see playing out within yourself the expression on Baba's face, or just the sweetness, like the one story where his daughter. Oh, that was a question I had. I'll ask that after this. But the story where I forgot his two daughters' names.
Leatrice and
Renee.
Renee, of course.
Yeah. When Baba was asking them for a type of food, and he was like, it was just them in the room with him, and he had the board, and he was like, went really fast at first, and they both looked at each other like, I don't know what you just said. And then he looked again, like really compassionately, and was like, really slowly, and they were both like, I just can't understand, I can't comprehend Baba. And he looked at them like super compassionately and was like, and they're like, SOFT, soft. So he wanted a soft salad.
Yeah.
And so they made him a soft salad, and just the fact they were saying that their tears were like peppering the salad, and they gave that to him. But that moment in particular was so sweet. I wanted to ask you though, are any of Darwin's children still alive right now?
Well, Renee is the only one left. He
Okay,
lives in Sacramento.
Sacramento.
Yeah, she
Wow.
must, I mean, she must be in her 80s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Beatrice passed on, and Lowell. There's a beautiful thing about Lowell. If you folks knew the lagoon the caretaker's cabin at the center, the night watchman cabin, there's a little sink in the corner. There used to be a little sink, and Baba had asked Lowell to come down, and this is in 52, to come down and be his watchman. He was just 16 at the time. And he had never met Baba before. And he was in the lagoon, in the caretaker's cabin, night watchman cabin, and he's in the corner in front of the sink shaving, but a little anxious about what it's going to be like to meet Baba. He had never met Baba, and he'd known of Baba his whole life. And he feels this tap on his shoulder, and he turns around, and there's Baba, and just embraces him. Baba had come all the way over to the night watchman cabin just to disarm his anxiety about meeting him. So before he had a chance to really get worried about meeting Baba, Baba tapped him on the shoulder and embraced him right there in the night watchman cabin. There's another story many of you have heard, but I don't know if Diane and Terry have heard. I'm sure Lanita has, but Priya hasn't, But Darwin used to tell this story to say that, these contacts we feel we have with Baba, like you kind of felt him in a certain place, in the course of the day, to not just dismiss those things. These are, real happenings. And so in 1948, Baba had Darwin come down to the center here in Myrtle Beach to help develop it. And Darwin had one of his jobs was to drain a lot of the center so that the road could be made from the highway into the center. You couldn't come in from the highway. So that was his project, and that he did with some civil engineers. But at the end of each day, he would go over to where Baba's house is. And at the end of the day, and Baba's house wasn't built at that time, it was just staked out. The layout was staked, but he would go over to the edge of the bluff and look toward India and think of Baba each day at the end of his workday. And he did that for the whole year of 1948. Then Baba came in 1952, this first time at the center, and one day Baba had a car sent over into the center to pick up the Shaw family. So they came over to Baba's house, and when they got there, Baba was on right at the screen door of the screen porch, and he opened the screen door, and each of them went through, and Darwin was the last one. And as Darwin was going up the steps, Baba leaned and he pointed, to that place, and Darwin said, "Baba, you reminded me how I used to come and think of you, after, how I used to think of you there." And Baba just kind of, real bland, okay, like big deal. But I mean, it really confirmed to Darwin that Baba receives these things. I mean, this is, 4 years later, that very spot. So, if you had some place in your house that you think of Baba or something like that, and he happened to come into your house, he would know, aha, right there. I know that you made that little garden part of the garden for me. He knows all of those things, and it means the world
Jeff,
to him. Yeah,
Jeff,
Yeah.
Was the middle bench the place where Darwin used to communicate with Baba through the middle bench at the garden, at Baba's garden, Baba's house?
I think it was more straight out from the living room, right out to the bluff, the main area. And then off to the left, there's that bench. Now
Yeah,
there
but
is
it's in the same direction that the middle bench is right now, right? It's in the same direction from the inside of the house, looking out to the lake.
Yeah.
Is that bench? It is in
that's-
that direction, the bench.
I don't know whether it wasn't exactly that place.
Oh, okay.
Because Baba pointed to it from the front steps. That means he didn't point through the screened porch. So it's, it would be right there visible from the front porch.
Because I heard that was he would go to the place where the middle bench is right now. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
And would look to the gate. That direction is where India is. If you trace a straight line from the middle bench to the other side of the world, is to India. Go straight to India.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just heard this story.
Yeah, that bench, over by that bench, there's a little stump, a small stump about 2 feet high. That marks the place where Baba sat on the ground, and everybody sat around him on the ground.
Oh, this is in the front of the house.
Yeah.
Right in front of the steps. Yeah, yeah.
Well, there's
a stone there.
No, this is a different place. But anyway, it's the middle bench.
Oh, the middle bench. Okay.
To the left of the middle bench, there's a little stump there where I marked where Baba had sat on the ground. Someone made a little necklace for him with silver dollars and some curious things. You see it in the movies, but that's where he was. Anyway, yeah, Mahu had her hand up.
Oh yes, let me video myself. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you talked about Darwin and how he was connecting with Baba. I remember the first time he actually introduced us to this concept called Sahaj Dhyan.
Yeah.
Which means Sahaj Dhyan. He said it's a kind of a mantra or something that you can do 4 times a day. Like a morning, noontime, in the evening, and before the bed. And by that, you can sit down and in a quiet place and remember Baba and just say, I cover my soul with Meher Baba.
Yeah.
I cover my soul with Meher Baba. And just imagine him being in you. And just Baba in you. And so he was doing it himself. And I know many people are doing it. When I remember, I do it.
Yeah.
And one more thing that
That's
I don't remember. I think it's
soul with
probably
Baba.
is in that book, As Only God Can Love. That he said, he had a normal life also, like he was working in for the city, right? City of Schenectady or Albany. I don't remember, Jeff. But anyway, he was in a traffic division of a certain government thing, and then he was he actually shared during his lunch hour, like 1 hour, he sits in his office any opportunity that he gets, especially at that time during the day, when he has his he quickly has his lunch, then he sit there quietly, just think of Baba, remembering him and transporting himself to Baba's Samadhi. Almost every day that he was working, during his lunchtime, he would go visit the Samadhi and come back. Those are the little things that he was sharing, that very, very valuable. And one more thing I like to share. So when Darwin died, his book immediately came, or before that he did. So I did a program at the center with Steve Berry. I said, I want to do a program on this book. And Steve Berry said, sure, I'll do it with you. So, when we did the program, and, when I was reading some passages, it felt as he was reading it with me. I was hearing Darwin's voice in my ear, reading those passages with me. It was an extraordinary experience. That he was very, very well aware what we were doing. One more thing, Jeff, can we make a request that you sing or play guitar on one song that I've been listening to on YouTube, and I posted it on Facebook at least several times? That song, The Healing, that you have sang in Mehrabad. That song.
What was the name of the song?
Healing. Let me hear.
Oh.
I can play it for you.
No, I know the song. Oh, I haven't played that in a long time, but I'd have to brush up on that.
Yeah, anytime.
I'll do it
anytime
sometime.
in your program.
Yeah.
If you can sing that for us, that would be great.
Yeah. I see Prakash has got his hand up.
Hey, Jai Baba.
Yeah.
While you were talking about Darwin and the center and the place, and I just recently happened to hear about Keshav Narayan Nigam. This gentleman, right, from Hamirpur.
Yeah.
Who wrote Meher Chalisa and all. His daughter spoke the other day, and on one of the programs here online, and what she mentions, the Baba's talking to Keshav and saying that you have brought me to Hamirpur, and I tell you that really touched me.
Yeah. Very beautiful soul. This was one of the pillars of Hamirpur, a very poor district in India.
Yeah.
Baba said, if you want to feel my heart, go to Hamirpur.
Yeah. And she also mentioned about when, people from Hamirpur came. Sorry, I'll talk later.
Okay. He's coming in from Hyderabad, so he's got a long way. Let's see. What about Marinaz? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Jai Baba, do you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, can you remember just one of your father's habit, one of the ways that your father would remember Baba, or something that he would do? Her father was one of the Prem Ashram boys who were exposed to Baba's divine love in the mid-20s. Anything that you can?
Yeah. So actually, one thing that stands up quite a bit in my head is that as I was growing up, by age 13, 14, like all my brothers and sisters, they were gone. They got married and they had their own family. They were gone. And 13, 14 years of age, that was the time when I was getting more and more into this spirituality thing. Like I now started learning about what my dad is doing, becoming more curious about, things that he was telling me and whatnot. And at that age also, because I was the last child of the 6. So you can imagine my dad was already senior. I was already old and retired, staying home, not working. So we get to know each other quite a bit. So in a way that whenever he finds me free, like not doing homework or anything, he will call me and ask me to come and sit and listen to him. So one day I asked him that, I asked him this question. I said that I know that you wake up every night at 2:30, and you meditate for at least 2-3 hours. I know that because I wake up the same time as you do, except that I'm in the other room. But I notice you. One thing I want you to tell me, I want to know, how do you feel sitting in one position for that long period of time? What do you get out of this? How do you feel? And then I remember he came close to me. At first, he paused and he thought about that question. And then he came very close to me with his loving look. He looked at my eyes. And then with a very soft and loving voice, he said that, Mehnaz, Baba doesn't let me to tell you that. I cannot tell you. Maybe one day you feel it yourself. And for me, it was just, 13, 14 year age and just beginning of understanding spirituality. I couldn't understand. What is he talking about? What does it mean that Baba doesn't let him to say anything about this, right? Little I knew that later on, of course, as I matured, I realized that what it meant. So when we talk about, different planes, third plane, fourth plane, fifth plane, whatever, we really don't know what these boys of Herr Baba and Parashram boys, what they went through during the time when they were meditating. What plane they would go and meet their beloved and then come back. But one thing I knew that, by him telling me that he was not allowed to tell what he's experiencing, I think they were just, maybe they didn't have that permission to share that with us, to share their experience with us. So that's really stands up in my head because, like, I meditate every day. With the name of Baba and his image in my I vision him. But honestly, the longest I can meditate is like 40-45 minutes, maybe sometimes an hour. That's it. But sitting for hours and meditating on Baba, I don't think I can ever do that. So the only thing that I can just guess that someone who can go for that long, definitely they are not in this world. They are experiencing something pretty extraordinary. And that's why they are not in this time. They don't live with this minute and hour. Perhaps for them is a minute or so. But when they come back, they realize that, oh, really? It's been 3-4 hours, 5 hours? So, and it was with him every night. every night of the week and month and year. And it's just so precious.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, he emanated such reverence, such a reverent Baba reverence. You know, it's really, really something to see in these souls. And it's interesting because Darwin felt that he was young at the same time, and he felt that Baba was working on him at the same time as the Prem Ashram boys over there. You know, that he was around the same age, getting that inner awakening like the boys did. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
There was a program for him today. It was a Farsi program, so was all Persian people today. In fact, Nasrin Khanum and Agha Mahmoud, they were there today, and for the first time, I learned that they had met my dad, and it was just so beautiful. Nasrin Jan and Agha Mahmoud, I didn't know you, and it's just such an honor to know that. You know, I don't know what to say.
No, beautiful.
Your father, we love your dad very much. You know, his eyes was like a two piece of jewel. Beautiful. And he was so relaxed. When we asked him, my brother asked him, Khosrow, when he was coming to my brother's house, it was pretty far away, very much far away. And my brother asked him, Khosrow, at least come half a way. I will come pick you up in half a way. But he refused to do that. He said, no, Baba gave me two legs to use it. I just, I'm more comfortable to come, you know, with my food. But when he comes, he never touch any food. My brother asked him, please, Khosrow, please, 1 cup of tea. And he refused to have it. Nothing. And he would stay, talk about Baba here and then leave. So we enjoyed it, always having him. Mernaz John.
One thing that struck me was that when for the first time Khosrow came to LA Center in Old Santa Monica Boulevard, what struck me, it was his eyes. It was so full of energy and it was so unique. And I became so like a magnet. I was just keep looking at him. And it was so amazing. So we did have good time with him.
So that explains Mehrnaz's eyes.
Oh, I don't know that. You know, I wished okay, something that he didn't want me. This is, I'm telling you here with, I don't know, with a pure heart here. And my dad never wanted me to get married. He wanted me to stay with him. And because he was working hard on me, as I said, every opportunity that he would find, he will call me and say, sit here with me because I want to talk about Hazrat Mehbaba. And he taught me so many things. He told me so many stories. And then he would keep telling me that, you know, your other 3 sisters, they got married. But I don't want you to get married. I want you to stay with me. But unfortunately, at the time when he give me permission to go aboard. That's it. He lost it because that was here when I got married. But again, when I was going to get married, I asked him. Actually, I told him about who my husband going to be, and he agreed. But he didn't want me to get married. He wanted me to stay there with him, and so he can train me, so to speak. If you understand what I'm talking about, he just wanted to. I think he knew to somehow that I had that enthusiasm.
Capacity.
Yeah, yeah. He so and yeah, I think this is something that he wanted me to stay home and be with him and spend the rest of my life basically at home and yeah, yeah. But anyways, it was such a beautiful program. And today was like 2.5 hours, something like that. And there were a few speakers from Iran who came on Zoom and shared beautiful stories, things that brought tears in my eyes. Things that I never heard before. Beautiful video they put together and nice, very nice songs and things like that. So yeah, such a awesome, beautiful day it was today.
Yeah, beautiful.
Venus, was it at the LA Center program? Because I never got
Uh,
the.
no. Actually, Mehnas Kapur is another. I mean, in addition to Angela, who is doing the Circle of Friends Zoom program, Mehnas Kapur is doing Persian meetings on her own, but of course through Angela's help. So she runs Persian meeting every other Sunday at 5 o'clock. And also she does run this program, like she ran Sfandiar Vesali program last month, and she did it for my father today. So and it's run and it's basically for entire, everywhere. It's on the Zoom, so anybody can participate.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I answered the question properly,
You
but
did beautifully.
Hey, is that
Yeah.
in English or is it all in Farsi?
yeah, today's program was all in Farsi. Now we are trying to see if we can get the same people or some others who can come and do this again, but we will translate so they speak Farsi and we translate it into English. We don't know because two important ones are actually they had corona and they're recovering. Well, they are Mahmoud is Mr. Arjang's relative, right? Zara and Mr. Arjang, right?
Arjan, yeah.
Arjang, yes, Arjang. They had unfortunately they had corona about a month and a half ago, and they're still recovering. So we are hoping at some point they have agreed that when they recover, they will do come on Zoom and they talk about my dad and then we translate. Of course, Arjan can speak English pretty well, but I don't know about Zara and maybe a couple of other speakers. So yeah, we're hoping that English come with the translation of Farsi into English. We can put another program together.
Great.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Well, have we got anything else that comes up?
Jeff,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
go
ahead.
ahead, Alan.
Yeah.
Who was going to say? I'm sorry, I interrupted someone.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. So, thank you, Marinaz, and everyone else. I think I'm going to talk to Marinaz separately and see how I can get on that group. What I was thinking about, I wrote a piece about how Darwin, not Darwin Shaw, but Darwin, could have had it backwards.
Yeah.
Has there ever been thought about that on the evolution where we're the first ones and the amoeba who is single cell floating gently in fresh water with no mind and being the you know is without duality is all the ultimate state?
I mean, I have had that. I've had that kind of a crazy thought myself, but it's no, it is the other way around. But
Scientifically, it hasn't been proven, right? I know.
yeah, but I mean, God speaks goes the other way. But it's really it's Charles Darwin had the idea that that the form was driving the evolution, but it's actually consciousness that's actually driving the movement through all the different higher and higher forms or more and more sophisticated forms. It's consciousness
But is
that's the driver.
sophistication the key here, or is it simplification the key
Um,
factor?
well, it's you start as gas and stone, and you work your way up. Those are smaller, less versatile mediums for expressing the soul. And as you get up to human form and all of that, you're able to express uh, that infinite love a little bit more until you're on the sixth plane and it's raging through you, you might say. But it's yeah, I mean, this is what Baba has said, and but I have thought, well, hey, what if it was a stone was the most advanced? It's not affected by anything. It just sits there. It's in peace. It's not in conflict with itself.
Right. And I was thinking about my dog. He had like close to 300 stones on his urinary path, and you never heard him scream or shout or feel any pain or talk about got up every morning protecting us. And I sat there and I thought, really? Am I the more advanced soul here? How is that possible?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, we are, for better or for worse, we are. But we will eventually reach that point of being.
Oh yeah, that's what confused me, because if that his consciousness tells me, so what, I'm in pain, I'm going to get up and serve as I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So why am I considered a higher consciousness and not the dog?
Yeah. It's really better actually to think we're all is one big family, and it's not hierarchical as far as in essence it's not hierarchical. It's only from from the standpoint of these systems that some things are higher than others. We say the lower kingdoms, but are trees lower than us? I mean, they're they have their place
So
in creation.
yeah, I guess that's where I get confused as far as the level of consciousness. So that's something, if you ever have a chance to expand on for us, because
one thing that I touched on, I'll just introduce it a little bit here because I may not be able to stay up as late as usual, but the concept of completeness or wholeness. I mean, it's not even a concept, it's a place of wholeness that is within. And how are you able to maintain that feeling of wholeness or completeness? And of course, as I said, the world, they have their own definition of wholeness and completeness is only when you finally get into Harvard, or you get your, your soulmate, or you finally utilize all your talents and abilities to the highest extent. Then you'll be complete. But so that the whole idea of completeness has gotten totally distorted. They always, you get to this place where you're supposed to be complete, and then they move the goalposts. So you got to go farther and farther and farther. So completeness is, I would say, it's a profound acceptance of what is happening right now to us.
Like surrender.
Yeah, without wanting to escape into the future for comfort, or go to the past for leave this moment and go to the past, or going to drugs and alcohol, or some kind of present moment escape. If we could stay in this moment and accept it fully, that is actually more beautiful than any other attainment. In other words, I would say it would be better to be miserable and complete in the misery than to get some comfort by going to the future or the past. Because completeness, and the Mandali had that completeness. They were kind of embodied. They weren't trying to be anything else. They had that deep acceptance of what is. You might say surrender. You've got surrender on the top of your
Yeah, this is from
list there.
Pune Center. The steps in Pune Center, yeah.
Yeah. But
There's
that's
yeah.
And but even what I gather from Erich, is that self-improvement is not the goal, or the accumulation of virtue or good is not the goal. But self-acceptance is closer to where we want to be. And I don't know. I'm throwing that out there, and then you guys see what that means. It's very hard to accept. If you're bored in the present, can you accept that boredom? Can you accept that wretched feeling? Not as a martyr. If you have, I'm just giving you an example, if you have like a toothache, you accept the toothache, but that doesn't mean that you don't go to a dentist and have it fixed, but then you accepted the fact that it was fixed. But you kind of go from acceptance to acceptance to acceptance, from wholeness to wholeness to wholeness, from completeness to completeness to completeness, without wanting to leave this moment. I don't know if that rings a bell. What do you think, Alan?
Well, when you were speaking, as well as others, I was thinking about, again, Darwin saying, like, I remember, just like I was watching one of these videos of him saying, just the way he said it, and there was like a sparkle in his eye when he said it. He was like, if you could imagine if you could be daring enough, like his voice was so deep, if you could be daring to, and he was looking out at people, and I was like, whoa, I like felt the wave when he was looking out. It was just, if you could be daring enough to it's like you said, it's almost like if you get, it's a place of like, when you are accepting what's happening, but it's active, and it's not a passive like giving up or something, but it's like you're actively, maybe you've got an itch on your face, or you've got irritation in your stomach or your chest, or you've got whatever physical, emotional, and thought forms that you have happening. It is possible in any moment, any given moment, to literally just go through all of that and contact Baba in that moment. And when I mean contact, it's like your heart is just drops through, and it's almost like you get that clarity that is where he's just with you and everything's happening, and you don't have to necessarily, you don't have to go for, well, is this, Baba, do you want me to do this or do you want me to do that? There's no more question of like, should I do this or should I do that? You just are doing the thing because you see that, almost like it's just that spaciousness you're talking about, where you almost can see little bits of the play happening, but then you know the Sanskaric veils kind of come over, and you do your thing where like the puppeteer is making you do this and that, and you're grumpy and you're mad at your wife, or you know, and then you get to a little spaciousness again, and you see again there's that just a little clarity. You can't even speak it, because anytime you try to talk about it, it's not what it is. It's just that clarity of him. And in any moment, if you could be daring enough to contact that, it's beautiful. That's just what I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean, to accept that, you know, profoundly what is happening right now, to me, that is Baba. You know, and it's surrendering to what is, but it's not it's an active thing. But then you feel complete, and then you can think a lot better when you're complete than when you're incomplete. If you're feeling incomplete, then you got to complete yourself somewhere. But if you can be content and accept what's going on right now, then you are whole. There's a wholeness. And that's what, you know, Baba said, we're already complete. It's like dropping back into that rather than having to add something. You know, when I get that done, or when I get finished, when I clean up my house, when I finally get my act together, then I can be complete. It's out.
Yeah,
You know.
there's that. I just imagine like me being on this Ferris wheel, this wheel of karma, on this Ferris wheel, and like at one point you kind of lift up and you get to the, you kind of can have a little bit more vantage view. You know, you can like, wow, this is, wow, okay, and then you go back, but then the only thing is the Ferris wheel is halfway, kind of goes underwater. So and sometimes you go underwater at that point, and sometimes when I'm here, I feel like I'm never going to be able to be out of this muck again. But it's really just kind of going back up, and I kind of go in and out of this. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to be worried that am I ever gonna be back with Baba again in my heart, because I just don't feel him. It's been hours, it's been days, it's been weeks, you know, and I can't feel his love, and you get so worried, and then, but then it's just kind of like that Ferris wheel. You're just lifting up again. It's just always a moving forward. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm trying to speak about something that's really hard for me. It's very, you know, it's something in. You're making me reflect on it when you're saying about the completeness. You just accept that you're where you are, and you don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry, and you don't have to hurry. Don't worry and don't hurry. That's what Bob was saying.
Yeah.
That's really precious.
As Alan was talking, I thought of the painting in the museum in Mehrabad, and the one that has like 10 levels, and it could be like a spiral. And I don't know how to explain, but Alan, I got what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's something to really ponder, because completeness is it's not like you have to be thinking about the future when you're going to finally be close to Bob, before you finally get your life together. You eliminate that, or I've got to atone for my past, but you just accept what's on your plate here, and are content with it, even if it's a terrible food that you don't like, but you know you have to eat it to survive. But then maybe the next day some of your favorite foods on the plate. You know what I mean? But it's I'll ask David, what do you think?
About my favorite food, Jeff? No. Yeah, I think that's something to, work for, to feel that a completeness now. I often find myself going off into some sort of future dream, and I have to pull myself back,
Yeah.
Too many plans or something.
Yeah. Whereas if you had that completeness in the present, you don't really need anything. I mean, it's not like the completeness is bliss. It can be bliss, but it can also be painful and suffering. Like like I mentioned earlier on the earlier session that that Bao, I was privately with Bao Kauchuri, and I said, Bao, how are you doing? And he said, I'm suffering from head to foot. I'm suffering. And there he is in front of me, and I said, Bao, but you're radiating so much love and emanating just so much love here. But he, in spite of all that suffering, he was still, he was quiet, he was complete, even though it was a state of suffering. He wasn't fighting it to go over here or let me out of here, Bob will get me out of this body, whatever. He accepted it. And in that acceptance, it created such an atmosphere of love. Anyway,
well, it's like when you're saying that, it's like he's accepting that is literally the direct grace of the master. He's accepting, and he's living right there in front of you as somebody who can be ripped apart by a dog, or can be totally battered, and Baba could just bring him to the edge. It just and he's remembering the master, that's the master's way. It's just really beautiful. It's very beautiful to witness that. I'm very grateful to be able to talk to you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Because you spend so much time with these people.
Yeah. Mahmoud, you were there and you saw Bao. And in great suffering, even though he didn't talk about it, but his acceptance of it, there was something so harmonized, so whole and complete.
It is interesting when he did have a stroke and he was paralyzed and with the poor memory, but in the math, did not change anything. When you were looking at Bauji, he was exactly the same. And in a matter of, I think, less than 48 hours or 72 hours, he was fine. No any evidence to suggest that he did have a stroke. It is so profound and amusing.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I'll find out what Diane and Terry think. What do you think?
Well, I was just asking, what was the pain from then? From the car accident?
Oh, no, he had a lot of different terrible conditions.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like sometimes to spend 3 months in a hospital. I mean, and not just one occasion, but like a number of occasions. He was like in a bad way, but he was always the same. And one time, I just, well, I got to get going here pretty soon, but one time he was at the center and he was in a bad way, and and two doctors were called in to Dilruba. That's the house of Elizabeth and Kitty. And they said, you know, he may not live the evening. And so they started calling India to tell, you know, his wife and kids and everything. This may be the last time you're going to be able to talk with him. And they'd hold the phone, and he's talking, and the doctors are all conferring, what are we going to do? And should we? They didn't even think they could even take him to the hospital. He was that far gone. All his vital signs were terrible. And at one point, the doctors were over in the corner, and they were talking about what to do, and and the center staff and everything and all that. And suddenly, Bao kind of sits up, and well, he was supposed to be giving a talk at the center that night. And suddenly he gets up and he says, "I'm going into the program." I'm like, "Oh my God," and everything. And he's insistent. They put him in a car. They drive him over the program on the night that they think he's going to die. And he gets up there and he starts, and he looks like he's going to die. It doesn't look like it. And over the course of the talk, he got more and more energy and alive and everything, and just, you know, gave this magnificent talk, starting out as almost on his deathbed to very vibrant at the end. Incredible. And he may have lived for a couple of years long after that. But it was amazing. I mean, it was like people, the doctor, what's this guy going on? Don't, Dana, you can't do that. And he just went over there and gave the talk. Oh, there he is right there. Roxy's got it.
Yeah, this popped up really fast in my photos. So.
Yeah. No, what amazing.
Sweet guy.
Gabriella wrote a lot of, put a lot of his songs to music. Yeah. No, the amazing. So
I'm here. I just been kind of in and out getting ready for bed.
Yeah.
I've been listening to everything. Gosh.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. God, what a great conversation.
Yeah, he was amazing. Oh, yeah, we got Prakash has got his hands raised there. Let's see.
Hey, Jeff,
yeah.
everybody. I just love the talk on completeness, and it's so beautiful. And I think acceptance is a sort of precursor to completeness. And I think it's acceptance all the way. But I also had other thought, which it may seem ironic, but completeness isn't trying to focus outside of yourself, even though you're complete. But the focus now, if it shifts to everything around, you know, just like when I wake up thinking about, you know, serving, the family some coffee and breakfast and all that stuff. And that kind of outward look may help. I think, even though I'm very far from it, there's a lot of improvement, a chance for improvement here. But as long as the focus is outside of ourselves, then I think the aspect of completeness may be a little more fulfilled. Yeah. And that's my 2 cents on it. And I also want to complete my thought earlier on Hamirpur thing. You know, one of the things that happened, which the daughter of Keshav mentioned, was when Hamirpur group came to visit Baba and Guru Prasad, and there were a bunch of, I don't know how many, maybe 10, 15 or more, and they all came and they were at the gates of Guru Prasad, and Baba would take time, walk out of Guru Prasad, come to the gate and receive them. And
yeah,
that was beautiful.
Yeah, no, they were the salt of the earth. It was just such so dirt poor and yet so rich in their total love of Baba. It was really something.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Jai Baba. Jai Baba.
Yeah, Jay Bob. Thank you, Prakash.
Jai Baba.
Hey. So Diane, Terry, did you guys have anything more over there?
You know, we haven't been watching much normal TV at all, but
Yeah.
there's one show on Apple TV that we've been holding off finishing because we love it so much, we savor it.
Yeah.
And it's called Ted Lasso. And it's about a kind of a goofus kind of guy, American guy that gets hired to run a English football team, and he knows nothing about
soccer. He knows about American football.
And the reason why he was hired was because the new sole owner of the football team wants to get back at her lying, cheating husband who lived and breathed this team, but now she's the sole owner. So she hired the worst possible person to come, thinking that he would destroy it. And of course, that's not how things go in the world. And he's an incredible change agent. His attitude is so positive about everything. And
loving and kind, very loving and very kind.
And the other night there was a big final ending of a scene, and he quoted, was it?
You can't find it? Is that,
yeah.
Was it Walt Whitman?
Walt Whitman, and it said something like, don't judge, no judgment, be curious.
No, be curious, don't judge.
Yeah, beautiful. Wow. Yeah.
And that saying has, in so many conversations that I've had this past weekend, has really come up a lot for me, that I do notice if I can go quickly to a judgment until I breathe in and ask some questions so I really understand what it is that's going on, or what the person says, or what they did. And so being curious has been a big theme for me, and I hear it.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I mean, the way to get out of being judgmental is actually take interest in the other person. Why is that person like that? Mm-hmm. What creates a person who behaves that way, rather than just judging him? That's kind of a passive way of doing it. But what makes them tick? That gets you out of just, that kind of passive judgment, And then, like you say, even inquiring of how they are. Well, there's a line from Walt Whitman where he says, I do not ask the wounded man how he feels. I myself become the wounded person, the wounded man. I mean, that's the big truth. Yeah. There's a great line from Ralph, no. I'm forgetting his name right now, a famous American poet.
Ralph Waldo
says,
Emerson? Ralph Waldo Emerson?
No, but Beatrice, Darwin's daughter, told me that Darwin had been Emerson. Darwin Shaw had been Emerson. But anyway, maybe I'll remember. Here's the quote. If we could see the secret history of our enemy, we would find suffering and pain enough to disarm all hostility. Mm-hmm. If we could read the secret history of our enemy, we would find in them pain and suffering enough to disarm all hostility. Beautiful, beautifully said. Yeah.
Internet says that's by
Longfellow. Yeah. Good. How do these guys find the stuff like that? I don't know. They do it. I mean, I hardly even got the quote out, and he's got it. Yeah, well, anything, but that idea of completeness is worth pondering. I mean, as to say, Baba says that we are already complete, and Darwin really revisits that again and again. You take ambition, and it doesn't make it. I mean, to be in a state of completeness doesn't mean that you don't wind up being creative or doing inspired things. In fact, a lot of creativity comes out of that feeling of completeness and wholeness. So and a lot of the things that you want to achieve through effort, completeness can do it without the effort. It can do it with effortless effort. So yeah. Anyway, it's worth bearing because it's a shortcut. Well, Gabriella, do you have one last song before we'll go? We'll end with a song from you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't have my guitar in bed now because I've
Okay.
progressed in the evening. I'll sing you a song though. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll do you another Baba chant.
A what?
Another of Baba's name, a different one. Meher Baba, 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 Meher
Thank you, Gabriella. Now you've earned your keep. Now you can go to bed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Hey, Baba.
Hey, Baba. Thank you.
Hey,
Jeff.
so anyone have any last thing to?
Jeff, you were asking Priya to say something and she got some time to think.
And Sham, I haven't forgot. I'm going to get you maybe on Tuesday.
Okay, maybe at any free time when there are not so good programs.
Yeah.
So now Priya can be given time.
So Priya, what did you have anything occur to you?
I quite enjoyed the conversation we had today. I'd never thought about completeness like this before today. And a part of me was wondering that it takes so much effort. Like, I believe that, I mean, at least in my experience, I've seen that we live in two states. Either we live in memories or we live in the now. And that itself is so tricky to keep coming back to the now.
Yeah.
To continue to live in inspiration. And then our last conversation I remember was about overcoming our own limitations and beliefs of unworthiness or unwanted, or, to come to a state where you affirm that you're complete, that you are 200%. I think it's a very big journey.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, where do we begin? Where do we begin this? I was wondering, where do we begin this process of surrender and this process of, I mean, if it's all in the now, then we begin in the now. But like what threads to hold on to start walking this path?
Well, I mean, this just occurs to me that you just take a look at how you are right now. This is complete. Even if you haven't done the dishes, you know, this is, if you can get to a place of completeness where you accept profoundly what is happening right now, that completeness is a great fertile ground for doing things, oddly enough. Rather than willpower and, you know, your value, I got to do this, I got to do this, until completeness is actually a better, what can I say, a better stimulus, a better source of inspiration. If you can accept this moment, that you don't have to be something that your parents will approve of. You don't have to do something to to fit into the society around you. You are fine as you are. Even with your shortcomings and weaknesses, it's possible to have weaknesses and shortcomings and everything and still be complete with that. It's not, you know, when you get rid of all your weaknesses and hang-ups and everything, then you're complete. It'll never happen, you know. But here's
You're
one thing
saying,
that, what's that?
no, please go ahead.
No, just, it's like self-acceptance leads to that deep, profound acceptance of what is happening right now. But self-acceptance helps. For example, if you're into self-improvement, you're always, where you are is not where you want to be. You want to be over there. So that creates a tension across the heart. Where you are and where you need to be, it creates a tension across the heart, and it impedes the flow of love into you. But if you can accept yourself as you are, it relaxes you at the heart level. And then love can percolate into your heart, and you wind up being better, better than you had, than if you had striven to be better. You wind up, so it's like being relaxed within. Deeply relaxed at the innermost level. But I mean, we'll talk about this, but it's, but I'm going to end with this. I said, I quoted, I quoted Baba's line, live more and more in the present, which is ever beautiful and stretches away beyond the limits of the past and the future. And I said to Marwan Jesawala, what does that mean to you? Baba's words. He said, you will only find Baba in the present. You won't find him in the past or the future. He said, people spend so much time thinking about the past and the future, and they let them slip away right in front of them. So if you keep coming back to this moment, keep coming back to this moment, that's where Baba will meet you. Not in the imagination, which is the future, or the memory, which is the past. Those are kind of mental functions. Anyway, that's what, I mean, I asked that question, and, you know, he gave me, you know, he was directing it. I mean, it was stamped on my being. And, you know, so this is the moment. So if you keep coming back to this moment, that's where he is. And Baba said, oh, why did I go to the future? Why did I go to the past? Don't worry about that. Just come back to the present. Baba said, don't worry about, oh my God, how do I always go to the future? Oh, beat yourself up. No, just bring your awareness back to the present. And it wants to go over here and come back again. It's worried about tomorrow at work, you know, then come back to the present, to your your bowl of cereal or something.
Hey Jeff, does that count? Does that account for just this piece of like I'm not able to be with you right now, Baba, because I've done such and such, and I'm not worthy of, you know, meeting you in this moment. You know, there's all these thoughts that you have that are like, well, I just did this today. There's no way. I just did this 2 seconds ago. There's no way that I could be forgiven for that. And there's no way that I could just drop in with Baba right now because he would probably, you know.
He would be thrilled if you could get back to the present and
Right.
drop that.
Right. But then to do that is really, I think that's the daring part that I was mentioning.
Yeah.
Darwin, you daring to just drop it. Just drop it.
Yeah. Even if you'd committed a murder, I'm not recommending it. 5 minutes ago, if you could get to the present, he would give you a standing ovation if you could drop that.
That's the PhD level statement.
Yeah.
It also helps to be a parent, because when you're a parent, you'll understand that no matter what the kids do, they're always loved.
Yeah. Yeah. And Baba, all these things, terrible things that we do not affect Baba. I mean, he's not, it doesn't change his love for you. No one is able to do that mostly, except maybe your mother, who can accept you with all of the the terrible things you've done and are doing. But Baba doesn't. He's not. He's not affected by what we do. But get back to the present and be with him, and unplug from thought. Yeah. And if you do that, you'll look just like VJ there, you know, in bliss. Who, what, me worry? Yeah. Hey, well,
That's great,
Yeah.
Jeff. Thank you.
Thank
you so much.
Jeff.
Yeah.
I like to add that the real completeness is with the final union with the Lord. So this present completeness is based on our values and our past samskaras. So one must enjoy the present completeness and then heading for the final completeness, that union with the Lord.
Yeah. You go from completeness to completeness to the real completeness.
Yeah, real completeness. Yeah.
But in the meantime, get as many completenesses in as you can. But it's like, oh, I'm not enough. I'm not enough.
Yeah.
That was
and regarding that judgment, I have also a habit of judging others, that how much Baba they got in them. So that I judge always when I meet people.
Yeah.
I feel like, oh, how much Baba they got. So what's the Baba's part? So that the way I judge people. So that's my way of judging. Yeah.
That one is very hard to give up.
Yeah.
It eventually has to, because if you're kind of saying, well, that it's like there's a whole spectrum of degrees of love. That's very. I found that's one of the most difficult. What can I say? Opposites to give up. Not very much love, a little bit more love, great love, sublime love. That whole spectrum of love, even that has to be given up in order to see everything as love. Everything as love. And that's one of the biggest tricks of the mind.
Yeah.
I
met Bhau in the hospital many times, and he loved to meet Baba lovers, and he asked me to sing ghazal in the hospital. So, and he would love it. So see, that's the way. How was that? Yeah, he used to enjoy in the pain also. Yeah.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah.
Hey, well, anyway, you guys need to go and succeed at something. You know, you got to go off and achieve your goals.
Yes. Time
You
to
know?
go.
Yeah. So anyway, if you're around on Tuesday evening, I'll see you then. And thank you, really. I mean, everybody, you know, puts things in here, and it brings these nuances of trying to live for Baba and the difficulties. It's great to hear all of these things, because I mean, I find I benefit from you know, all the different, hearing different approaches, because sometimes approach that someone uses, I just incorporate myself. Hey, I never even thought of thinking of Baba that way. I'm going to try it, and it works. So, yeah.
Jai Baba.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
Jai
Jeff.
Baba,
Jai Baba.
everybody.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Jai Mer Baba.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
nice
you
New
all.
Year's and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Jai Baba.
yeah.
Jai Baba,
Happy New Year.
everyone.
Yeah, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
We love your presence, Jeff.
Yes, yes. And
Jai
conspicuous
Baba.
absence too.